since the COVID-19 pandemic began, we are conveying this public hearing virtually via WebEx video teleconference. I would like to introduce my colleagues. Councilman Tom Quirk, who represents the 1st District.
Good afternoon. Pleasure to be here.
Councilman Izzy Patoka, who represents the beautiful 2nd District.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Kathy, for that kind comment about the 2nd District.
We just know that you think yours is special. And we have Councilman Wade Katch, who represents the 3rd District.
Good afternoon.
Councilman Julian Jones, who represents the 4th District.
Good afternoon.
Councilman David Marks, who represents the 5th District.
Good afternoon.
And Councilman Todd Crandall, who represents the 7th District.
Good afternoon, everybody.
A copy of the recommended map and log of issues with the planning board recommendations is posted on the county website at www.baltimorecounty.md.gov/agencies/planning/CZMP. This hearing is one of 7 scheduled public hearings during the month of June concerning the proposed 2020 comprehensive zoning map. Tonight's hearing will be dealing exclusively with possible changes to the 2nd District zoning map as recommended to the County Council by the Planning Board. The hearing procedures before the County Council are posted on the virtual meetings page of the County Council's website and on the Council's Facebook page, and are as follows. Anyone wishing to testify should have registered with the County Council in advance via email. Documents could also be attached to this email. The registration enables the council staff to recognize the person and unmute their microphones as they speak during the video hearing. Speaker registration via email commenced on today from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. In order to testify, a person must join this WebEx meeting with an internet capable device because it is not possible to identify a person who uses a phone only to listen in during the hearing. Each person testifying at the hearing will be given 3 minutes to speak. The purpose of the time limitation is not to restrict the public input, but rather to ensure that everyone who has signed up to address us this evening has an opportunity to do so. The order of the testimony will be based on the time a person's email was received for the hearing. Only persons who register to testify via email will be permitted to speak. In fairness to everyone who properly registered, when a person has concluded their remarks, the host of the meeting, our council administrator, will mute their microphone and the next person's name will be called and the microphone will be unmuted and they will be asked to give their remarks. And this process will continue until all persons who registered to testify have had an opportunity to speak. In fairness to all persons and to expedite this meeting, it is requested that repetitive comments on the same issue not be given. If someone before you has presented very similar testimony, you may simply comment that your concerns have been previously raised and waive your time. Before we begin this evening's hearing, I would offer Councilman Izzy Patoka any opening remarks.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to my colleagues for participating in tonight's event. We started with this quadrennial zoning process with pre-filing back in August of 2019, and how different the world was then when this process started. But we are working through it. Since that time, we've had 40 zoning change requests. 27 were submitted by the general public. I initiated 13 of the 40 as measures to preserve land, protect the environment, and in a proactive way. I want to thank everyone that has been part of the process, the petitioners, the planning staff, planning board, all of the people that provided testimony to the planning board and to the county council, and also those that submitted written testimony on the different issues. It's an important process. It's going to frame up how the county, or how the second district will continue to be a strong district, and this is the point at which it gets shaped. And so I just want to thank everybody for being part of this process, and look forward to hearing testimony tonight from everyone that's, I think we have 33 speakers, and appreciate everyone taking the time to speak tonight.
Okay, thank you,
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Toka. Ms. Belcastro, our first speaker for this evening.
Yes, Madam Chair. Our first speaker this evening is Jerry Mayer. And before I put Mr. Mayer on, I just want to remind the people testifying that you will hear a very loud beep when your time is up. So the chair will probably ask you to wrap up your remarks. Mr. Mayer?
Well, hi. This is Jerry Mayer. I'm from 2153 Woodbox Lane. I live in Baltimore County, 21209. I've been a resident of Pikesville all of my life, been a member of St. Mark's Church all of my life, and I'm actually involved in the CZMP 02-003, request for zoning change. This is a joint effort between CHI and Episcopal Housing. And we're looking to get the property rezoned 2 acres plus. And the point to the housing in that particular spot, and in light of the current social events that are going on in Baltimore, everywhere else, the intent is to provide housing for our workforce, the people that are the front line supporters around Baltimore County, the people who are doing the hard work and pulling the weight during this quarantine is the target market for the housing. I know that CHI and Episcopal Housing have multiple locations around Owings Mills, Pikesville, and other parts of the county. It's all beautiful housing. And the people that oppose it are calling it low-income housing. It is not, and I repeat, not low-income housing. This is workforce housing, and it's intended for beginning firefighters and police and teachers and that type of worker in our workforce. And we've been working on this for quite a while, and it's part of the outreach of St. Mark's. We've been involved in the community since the late 1800s, and it's been an outreach church ever since. And we have a number of different outreach projects that have been going on. And I know that the county executive's office has been a strong supporter of workforce housing. And my request is for the board to seriously consider approving that parcel of land that you see there, 2-003, for the type of housing that is consistent with the other housing, including the housing across the street from that piece of property. It's consistent with high standards as far as construction is concerned, and would be a huge benefit to Pikesville and Baltimore County. And with that said, I will pass on the torch.
Mr. Mayor, thank you for your testimony this evening.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Our next speaker is Alan Zuckerberg.
Hello, am I on?
Mr. Zuckerberg?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. You may begin your testimony.
Thank you. Good afternoon, members of the County Council. I'm Alan Zuckerberg, the president of the Pikesville Communities Corporation. We have 17 members representing over 2,700 households in the Pikesville area. First, we want you to know that we question the legality of this hearing held in the manner and whether it complies with applicable CZMP law. Next, here's our position on a number of District 2 issues. We have transmitted more detail and reasons to Councilman Patoka. With regard to 2-003 St. Mark's, which was just testified to, we oppose this zoning request. We sympathize with the church. However, it wants this RAE2 zoning in order to sell IRS credits for low-income housing, regardless of whether it's called workforce or low income. The material that we've seen thus far says that county firefighters, teachers, and police officers will make more than the limits allowed by the IRS to sell these credits. As far as the architecture is concerned, there's a dispute that we've heard between High and the Episcopal housing as to what it's supposed to look like. We have a lot of low-income, particular senior low-income housing in the immediate area as it is. With regard to 2006, the Suburban Country Club, we oppose. We offered to negotiate with the club and it did not give us what we considered a bona fide good faith offer. The RAE and BLCCC zoning request is not reasonable and it is obviously placed as a bargaining tool and we will not sanction it. We sympathize with the club's financial problems and would like to see it solved, just as we would with the Woodhome Country Club. However, this is not the way to do it. We have suggested that the club ask for RAE2 near the corner of Sudbrook Lane and Reisterstown Road. 2-014 is Blue Ocean Hilton Doubletree. We oppose that. The location at the south side of 695 is already overburdened, and we ask that nothing else be considered there unless and until we see the results of the Royal Farms with its gas station that is opposite the Doubletree. 2-018 Woodhome Country Club, we oppose. This affects 5.38 acres for zoning that the club is suggesting would only be used for a bank. This is not a sliver of land. We offered to negotiate to limit that use at this very heavily traveled area on the north side of 695 at Reisterstown Road, and they refused. Do not be deceived if the club comes to any of you with the idea that they have a declaration to quell the community concerns. Unless we are signatory, we are not a party to it. 2-019 Keller Avenue, we oppose. The Zalman gifted a PUD to this developer with OR zoning. It is between Green Tree and Reisterstown Roads, an area already clogged with businesses and traffic and parking headaches. The developer wants even more dense zoning in an area very near Hooks Lane and the north side of 695 across from what the Woodhome Country Club wants. Thank you. I appreciate your attention.
Thank you for your testimony this afternoon, Mr. Burke.
You're welcome.
Next speaker, please.
Our next speaker is Richard Klein. Mr. Klein,
Yes.
you may begin your testimony.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please. I will operate your microphone. You're unmuted. You may go.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Good afternoon. My name is Richard Klein. I'm president of Community and Environmental Defense Services. I live at 24 Greenshire Lane in Owings Mills. I'm helping folks living in the vicinity of the Smith Avenue, Old Pimlico Road, Royal Farm store. They are deeply troubled by the threat to their health and safety posed by the gas pumps that would be allowed if CZMP petition 2-011 were approved. I urge you to deny this petition for the following reasons. There's a large body of scientific evidence showing adverse health effects due to benzene and other compounds released to the air during fueling and vented from gasoline storage tanks. The adverse effects range from nausea to low birth weight to cancer. There are no control measures required for new gas stations that can reliably resolve the threat. Research shows that those living within 500 feet of a gas station are at greatest risk, particularly children and older adults. The most effective health protection measure at present is to guide new gas stations to sites where they will be at least 500 feet from homes, schools, and other sensitive land uses. However, adverse health effects may extend out as far as 1,000 feet. Current Baltimore County zoning regulations only require a 100-foot safety zone between gas pumps and residentially zoned property. The regulations require no setback from underground storage tanks. There are 40 homes within 500 feet of the Royal Farm Store at Smith Avenue in Old Pimlico, and there are several hundred more homes within 1,000 feet. There are 10 existing gas stations within 3 miles of the Royal Farms, so there's little need for another gas station in the area. The science supporting these points is provided in my written testimony. Recently, 20 organizations signed a letter urging an expansion of the new gas station public health safety zone from the current 100 feet to 500-foot science-based minimum, while also prohibiting new gas stations in areas where people rely on wells. These amendments would not preclude new gas stations in Baltimore County. Of the 27 CZMP petitions that would allow new gas stations, a third could still be permitted with the 500-foot public health safety zone and the household well protection measure. These amendments will guide new gas stations to sites where we can gain the benefits without jeopardizing the health and safety of our neighbors. In my written testimony, you'll find examples of the many other counties that have adopted similar criteria for guiding new stations to low-impact sites. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony, Mr. Klein. Next speaker, please.
Our next speaker is Mark Dopkin. Mr. Dopkin?
Yes, you can hear me, I assume. Good afternoon. My name is Mark Dopkin, and I'm calling in connection to oppose issue 2-006, Suburban Country Club. I live at 1 Slade Avenue, which is on the corner of Park Heights and Slade, immediately opposite where Suburban plans to construct whatever they plan to construct. I say that not to be sarcastic, but we've not been able to have any meaningful discussion with them about what they plan to do. I am calling not as an individual so much as president of the 1 Slade Condominium Association, which consists of 52 units. It would be the property that is most impacted by this proposed zoning. They have had some conversations with Dumbarton, as I am told, but if the development is on the 6 acres closest to the corner, which is what Suburban has advised us, that will impact us and the property immediately across the street, which is a school. The biggest issue, ultimately, there are lots of issues which have been addressed in 2 letters that we have written and delivered to Councilman Petrocca. The immediate question, I think, ultimately is 2. One is traffic. There are going to be a lot more cars on a very difficult, not only this intersection, but also at Park Heights and Old Court / Sudbrook. And that really needs to be addressed, as well as the fact that you've got a 130-some acre property, which would be instrumental in any subsequent development of Pikesville, assuming that the club ultimately sells it all off, and a much more comprehensive approach needs to be taken before any change in the zoning is allowed. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony this evening, Mr. Dopkin. Next speaker, please.
Our next speaker is Jack Greenberg. Mr. Greenberg? Mr. Greenberg? think he's having an audio problem. Mr. Greenberg? Mr. Greenberg?
He's talking too fast.
Hello?
Yes, Mr. Greenberg?
Hello?
Yes?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Mr. Greenberg. You may begin your testimony.
Thank you. Chairman Bevins, Councilman Patoka, members of the council. My name is Jack Greenberg, and I'm speaking in favor of issue number 2-006, which seeks to rezone a portion of the Suburban Club so that the club can develop a piece of its property with an upscale multifamily project. I'm the president of Suburban Club, have lived in the area for all of my life, and have been a member of the club for over 10 years. Similar to other golf and country clubs in the country, the club has experienced operational challenges and a decline in membership. As a result, available financing has decreased. In order to raise additional funds and enhance the sustainability of operations of the club is seeking to rezone and develop a portion of the property that is not necessary for the club's operations. In addition to raising funds to help sustain the club, this proposal would have the additional benefit of adding high-quality housing to the area, which is greatly needed. This housing would be attractive to members of the club and others who may join the club given its proximity and convenience. When the zoning change request was originally filed, the club was asking for BLCCC and RAE1 zoning for over 19 acres. We have reduced the request to asking for only a small portion of the property, approximately 12 acres, to be rezoned to DR16. This reduction was based on discussions with and requests from the various community groups that the club has engaged throughout the CZMP process. Representatives of the club have met with several community groups, including the Pikesville Green Spring Community Coalition, the Pikesville Communities Corporation, the Dumbarton Improvement Association, the Pikesville Owings Mills Chamber of Commerce, and One Slade. We recognize the importance of working with the community and will continue to do so as this process progresses. We have already begun working on a restrictive covenant agreement that would limit the scope of the multifamily development and address any concerns raised by the surrounding communities. Our goal is to enter into an agreement with the surrounding community so that the club and community can both benefit from this proposed rezoning. The agreement is not finalized, partially due to issues related to the pandemic, but we understand that recording a covenant agreement is essential to achieving a mutually agreeable outcome of this issue. Suburban Club has been an important part of the community for over 120 years and is still almost 350 families strong. We are hoping we can raise the necessary funds to continue to provide the same great service for local residents for years to come. We would greatly appreciate the council recommending in favor of issue 2-006. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony this afternoon, Mr. Greenberg. Next speaker, please.
Our next speaker is Alan Summerfield.
Yes,
Mr. Summerfield?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, you may begin your testimony.
Thank you very much. I'm Alan Summerfield, the president of Woodhome Country Club. I am calling in favor of issue 2-018, southwest side of Reisterstown Road and Woodhome Avenue. I first want to say thank you all. I'm going to be very respectful of your time. We have over 300 people that wanted to volunteer to call in today, but in fairness to the council, we're limiting the number of members that we are having call in. I would like you to know, as said prior by Mr. Greenberg and others, as you know, country clubs are declining. This request for us is about preserving the club as a viable business by generating funds from a portion of our property that does not affect the golf course or the community. We have about 700 members that live in Baltimore County, most of them in the 2nd District. We've been around for 93 years. We'd like to see our 100th year. and we need this community asset to stay around. We support a staff of over 100 people, including their families. This is a very, very, very vital aspect to our survival. A prior speaker mentioned that we were going to rezone 5 acres. We have agreed to reduce that to 2 acres. We were also mentioned that we were asked to negotiate, and I can tell you as the president of Woodhome, no one has ever contacted me to negotiate anything. We did this on our own to preserve the area for the community. It's on a corner that has a gas station, a shopping center, a fortune teller, and a jewelry store. So what we're asking to do fits in perfectly for that corner. It is bringing a new business to Baltimore County, not stealing from another territory, which helps in all aspects of the community. And it is a nice looking property. With that, we ask that you vote in favor of issue 2-018, as it will help a longtime good neighbor of Baltimore County survive and keep the green area that we have available to all. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for your testimony. Next speaker, please.
Next speaker is Melvin Mintz. Mr. Mintz?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. You may begin your testimony.
Great. Good afternoon, Chairman Bevins, Chairwoman Bevins, Councilman Patoka, and members of the council. My name is Mel Mintz. I live at 3418 Kaiser Road in Pikesville. First of all, thank you, Councilman Patoka, for all the bold action you take. I speak today in support of zoning issue 2-006, corner of Slade Avenue and Park Heights Avenue. I am a member of Suburban, but I am not here speaking on behalf of its board. I am just an experienced, concerned, 45-year-long resident of my Pikesville. Granting the zoning request enhances the sustainability of this 120-year-old historic icon known as Suburban. Why is that organization's sustainability important to the council, aside from its historic status? After all, you're not in the business of just ensuring the existence of a club or any business. The reason is because its sustainability goes deeper. It's tied directly to the sustainability of all of Pikesville. That's what's different. That's what's critical. The value of the apartment complexes along Slade Avenue are sustained by that green space next door of Suburban. If the value of those apartments decline, the value of the entire corridor will decline. Further enhancing the reasons for your approval of this request is the fact that Councilman Patoka and County Executive Olszewski has boldly started to work on fashioning the first revitalization plan for Pikesville in 16 years. Way overdue. Why is all this important to the county government and taxpayers? Because Suburban pays property taxes, sales taxes, and its employees pay income taxes. And finally, this request for almost what assuredly will be empty nesters will not add one dime to the cost of government. In summary, your wise granting of this request enhances the sustainability of a 120-year-old historic icon, enhances the sustainability of an entire community, and it does not cost the taxpayer one single dime. It is, in my humble opinion, a no-brainer. Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and the rest of the council.
Thank you for your time this afternoon, Mr. Mintz. Next speaker, please.
Our next speaker is James Burton. Mr. Burton?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, you may begin your testimony.
Okay, great. I'm here to testify about items 2-012 and 2-031. I'm against the downzoning. I'm a local builder in the area. And as you probably know, lots are harder and harder to find to build houses for our customers. That is our biggest challenge, and downzoning just makes that even harder, unfortunately. We're not asking for, upzoning. We're just asking for it to be maintained as it is. And I'm sure hopefully you'll hear some other testimony about this today, and I will yield. That's all I needed.
Thank you for your testimony this afternoon.
Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Our next speaker is Reverend Julia Fritz. I'm trying to locate the speaker on our list.
Okay.
It does not look like they are on, so I'm going to go ahead and go to the next speaker,
Okay.
and that would be Daniel McCarthy. Mr. McCarthy,
Good evening.
you may begin your testimony.
Thank you. I appreciate the County Council considering and approving CZMP issue 02-003. This is the St. Mark's request to rezone its property. So the approval of this issue will solidify St. Mark's continued presence in Pikesville, where it has been a positive influence for over 150 years. The church needs to rezone this piece of land so it can upgrade its sanctuary and its parish hall and continue to contribute to Pikesville for another 150 years. St. Mark's is committed to working with 2 local developers to produce a project of high quality materials and finishes. And this project will be equal to any location in the immediate area. It'll bring additional families to the Pikesville commercial corridor, benefiting all the businesses along Reisterstown Road. This issue is, like any contemplated for the site, will be subject to the county's regular entitlement and other engineering review. We're not asking for anything beyond that. As mentioned, this is a project that is in alignment with the county's voluntary compliance agreement, where Pikesville is the focus for workforce housing because of its area of an opportunity location. It is one that has good schools, transportation, and employment opportunities, and spreads this workforce housing throughout the county, which I know is one of the county's goals. Baltimore County is, of course, changing in many ways, and if the council wants to retain the historic places of worship throughout the county, using assets such as this will enable St. Mark's and other people to have a leadership role in maintaining that glue that keeps the county together, its historic worship spaces. We have had extensive conversations with the community, including the Pine Ridge Association and the PCC. We've answered all of their questions and discussed their suggestions, many of which we've included into our project, which has made us a better presentation. We will continue to work with them to make St. Mark's the best possible project and a contribution to the bright future of Pikesville. Thank you so much for your consideration of our request.
Thank you for your testimony this afternoon, Ms. McCarthy. Next speaker, please.
Our next speaker is Patricia Gordon. Ms. Gordon,
Yes.
you may begin your testimony.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I'm Patricia Gordon, and I put in the zoning request 2-012. I would like for the county council to approve 2-012 to change the zoning from DR 3.5 to DR 2. Please understand, I am speaking for the neighbors in this neighborhood. The neighborhood consists of about 17 single-family houses on 20 acres behind historic Main Street in Reisterstown. It is one of the oldest neighborhoods in Reisterstown. If you can look at the map of the area, you'll see that the 20 acres kind of forms a square, roughly, of 3 roads, Woodley Avenue, Dean Avenue, and Stocksdale Avenue. Stocksdale Avenue has a 90-degree turn in it that makes up one of the corners of the square. The intersections of the other roads make up the other 3 corners. This is a country-type neighborhood with some new houses, but mostly older homes, a few that are 100 years old. The roads are old farm roads, usually only room for one car to drive through. The zoning of DR 3.5 is inappropriate for our neighborhood. The smallest lot is about a half acre, and there are several parcels that are an acre or more. DR2 is much more appropriate. Baltimore County Planning Department wants to keep the zoning at DR 3.5 because there is a proposed development plan pending in the neighborhood. That proposed development was denied by the administrative law judge. It is now before the Board of Appeals because the developer appealed the administrative law judge denial decision. It was rather upsetting to think that Baltimore County Planning Department would support a developer in Montgomery County rather than the Baltimore County neighborhood residents. Our neighborhood has been fighting this developer for over a year. He wants to put 13 houses on roughly 2.5 buildable acres. The development has no open space. They have no yards. The DR 3.5 zoning allows him to max out and build 13 houses. As I said, this case is before the Board of Appeals. We hope to get a decision by the end of July. The same developer has acquired a second parcel in this neighborhood, and we worry that we will have to fight him again when he goes to develop this second parcel. We worry about overdevelopment every time a parcel becomes available for sale in our neighborhood due to this inappropriate 3.5 zoning and its close proximity to historic Main Street. So we ask you to please change the zoning from DR 3.5 to DR 2 for 20 acres. I have the support of the neighbors. I also have the support of the Reisterstown, Owings Mills, Glendon, the ROG Association. We want to protect this neighborhood from overdevelopment. We'd appreciate the council's consideration and support. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Gordon. Thank you for your testimony this afternoon. Next speaker, please.
Our next speaker is Christopher Aleva. Mr. Aleva?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. You may begin your testimony.
Very good. My name is Christopher Aleva. I live at 10848 Harmel Drive in Howard County, and I want to thank you for letting me be a guest here in Baltimore County, but I have a lot of old friends there. In any case, I'm here to testify on 2-011. I work with property owners, commercial property owners, and ones also in the energy industry. I'm not here on behalf of anyone in particular tonight, but I do want to urge the council to deny this request. As you know, the planning board adopted the staff recommendation, and it's contrary to the general plan. And under state law, any zoning adopted has to be consistent with that plan. In the research on this site, it appears that the store was built in the midst of this residential area, and the building was sited backing to Pimlico Road to allow maximum buffering from the DR 3.5 residential immediately surrounding the property. The bank site was intended to be a less intense transitional commercial use. Rezoning this to allow automotive service would vitiate this carefully planned balance. And so I urge the council to not approve this request. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your testimony, Mr. Oliva. Next speaker, please.
Next speaker is Leonard Grossman. Mr. Grossman?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. You may begin your testimony.
Thank you. My name is Leonard Grossman. I'm a member of Woodhome Country Club, and I'm here to support the request for rezoning. This is, to me, would be a very simple decision because this represents an opportunity for the county to enter into smart growth. We have a piece of property here that can generate increased tax base for the county without the need of establishing new roads or utilities. And I would think that this is the type of development that the county would seek out. So I urge the members, and I thank you for the opportunity of addressing you, I urge the members to approve this rezoning. And as Mr. Summerfield has previously said, it is absolutely important for the viability of Woodham Country Club, of which I have been a member for 45 years. I thank you for the opportunity to address you and would appreciate your consideration.
Thank you for your testimony, Mr. Grossman.
Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Our next speaker is Owen Murphy.
Hello?
Mr. Murphy?
How you doing? My name is Owen Murphy of 24 Woodley Ave in Reisterstown, Maryland. I'm here in favor of zoning request 2-012, which would change my neighborhood from a DR 3.5 to a DR 2. Our neighborhood as it stands is full of single-family houses with yards on narrow 12-foot wide roads. Approving the neighbor's request would zone this area appropriately and protect what exists from overzealous developers who would want to cram as much as possible into small areas. Thank you for your time. Please strongly consider making this change.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. Next speaker, please.
Our next speaker is Deidre Smith. Ms. Smith?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, you may begin your testimony.
Thanks. Good afternoon. My name is Deirdre Smith, and I am speaking today in support of issue 2-025 to downzone the 6 acres from an existing BMCCC to CB. This current zoning allows some of the most intense development in the county. It's inappropriate in many ways. One, it was obtained under false pretenses in the last CZMP cycle as being supported by the community. Nothing could be further from the truth. 2, the services don't exist to support this level of development, nor will they in the future without radical structural changes and expenditure of public money. This insufficiency has now been supported twice by the courts. This is unprecedented in Baltimore County. To quote the administrative law judge, the sewer capacity is woefully insufficient. Since the community actually became aware of the project proposed under this zoning, the response has been overwhelming. The 6-acre property abuts Lake Roland Park, as you can see. In fact, it goes right into the park. The park is a treasure enjoyed by people around the county. This current zoning allows for an unlimited residential building and height. The park is already under intense stress from insufficient sewer, runoff, and flooding. At what point do we say enough is enough? So the courts have ruled in our favor twice. The community, twice. The community had to raise tens of thousands of dollars to make this happen. But the developer continues to appeal and most recently has filed for an exemption to raise and build a part of the project. Project that is under appeal, a project twice disapproved. This exemption would allow the developer to avoid the entire development review process, an obvious attempt to get around the ALJ and Board of Appeals decisions. It's a loophole which should be eliminated. But yet again, the community will have to raise money to fight the very deep pockets of the developer. This is not right. It is time for the County Council to put an end to this. This new zoning, community business, will allow the developer to make a profit and will not overly tax the services and resources of the neighborhood, nor harm our beloved park. Community business at this site represents all the principles of sound planning and should be supported. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your testimony. Next speaker, please.
Our next speaker is Scott Slater.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Slater,
Yes.
you may
can hear
begin
me?
your testimony.
Thank you. My name is the Reverend Scott Slater. I'm a resident of Towson, Maryland. and I'm speaking on behalf and in support of issue number 2-003, St. Mark's appeal to rezone in collaboration with Giant Episcopal Housing Corporation. I represent our bishop, and St. Mark's is one of 17 Episcopal congregations in Baltimore County that are overseen by the Diocese of Maryland, which I serve on staff of the bishop. Very supportive of this effort, not just for the missional impact it will have for St. Mark's and the Pikesville community, but also as a resident of the county, I'm very much in favor of providing more workforce affordable housing. The area of Towson that I live in has a significant number of workforce folks living in an apartment complex at the edge of my single-family neighborhood, and those people add a rich diversity to our community that I very much value as a resident of Baltimore County. So I'm very much in favor of this and urge you all to grant this request. Thank you for allowing my testimony.
Thank you for testifying this afternoon, sir. Next speaker, please.
Madam Chair, our next speaker on the list was Howard Needle. However, I cannot locate him on the list. I'm not sure if he's on, so I'm going to go on to the next speaker, who is Jane Gerson.
Good.
Ms. Gerson?
Yes, hi, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. You may begin your testimony.
Great, thank you. First, I would like to thank the County Council for taking the time to listen to constituents. I appreciate it, and I appreciate all the hard work you all do in keeping our county moving and working. Thank you. My name is Jane Gerson. I live at 10 Rubyfield Court. It's near the Summit Park Elementary School, and I'm here to oppose issue 2-011. I'm speaking as a member of the community and also as a representative of my homeowners association, the Summit Chase Homeowners Association, and we would like to oppose the development of gas pumps at the Royal Farms at the corner of Smith and Old Pimlico. People have already spoken about environmental effects of having gas pumps there. I would like to just say, to be a representative for the community. It's a very strong, vibrant community with lots of ties. There are constantly people out on the streets, people walking dogs, walking their children, neighbors meeting on the street, and it's a really, really vibrant, great community. And putting this kind of development, adding that onto the parcel that's there, upping the development would really have a detrimental effect and damage the type of community that we are. We're a really strong resident community, and we'd like to keep it that way by not allowing any further development of this parcel. Thank you very much to the county for the opportunity to speak and oppose issue 2-011.
Thank you for your testimony, Ms. Gerson.
Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Our next speaker is Scott Berger.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. You may begin your testimony.
Thank you. Thank you, council members. And as a resident of Woodholm Avenue, I would like to strongly oppose this rezoning for the following reasons. Number one, it would be out of character to have major business activity adjacent to residents' backyards and will be detrimental to the use and enjoyment of our property. To have major business activity at this location will also devalue the property values directly impacted by this proposed development. Thirdly, Woodholm Avenue cannot handle the traffic for major business activity, especially when the planning for this, there is no planned ingress or egress from Reisterstown Road, which will force all the traffic to be put on a double 90 curve on Woodholm Avenue. Woodholm Avenue is a one-way in and one-way out for residents of over 60 family homes living on Woodholm Avenue, Woodholm Village Court, and South Road. The Country Club also contributes to the traffic on Woodholm Avenue. Currently, there are long wait times at the traffic light at the Reisterstown Road, Woodholm Avenue / Hooks Lane intersection. Increased traffic from a commercial location would cause additional traffic and delays at an already busy intersection. I understand that the zoning board approved the rezoning, which was against their staff recommendations, which the staff also noted that it would be inconsistent with department goals, it would be inconsistent with the county's economic development objectives, and some other objections there. I wonder, I have to question how much of the zoning board's approval was influenced by a zoning board member who was also a member of the Woodhome Country Club, who did not recuse himself from the matter until the actual vote. I think I can speak for most of the residents of this area that a major reason we purchased our homes was knowing that we backed up to the Woodhome Country Club, a large open space, and the zoning has always been DR1. We never imagined we would see the day of proposed major business development and the building of townhouses and condos so close to our backyards. In conclusion, I would like to request all county council members visit the site of the proposed development and the surrounding neighborhood and see for yourselves how development of the site would impact several property owners, increase traffic and congestion at an already busy intersection, and also realize the existence of available properties already zoned for commercial use that are close by. I thank you for your time and have a good evening.
Thank you for your testimony this afternoon, sir. Next speaker, please.
Next speaker is Todd Jacobs. Mr. Jacobs?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, you may begin your testimony.
Thank you. I'm here to speak on behalf of issue 2-018. Woodhome Country Club has been a great neighbor and an asset to the community for almost 100 years. When development occurred along Reisterstown Road in the past, we helped by providing easements through our property. All of the residential neighbors that line our golf course can attest that we take good care of our property and that we're a very desirable neighbor. This zoning effort is important to the financial health of the club and to the neighborhood. Without your approval of Woodhome's zoning request to support this modest land sale, the neighborhood may lose the club. If that happens, the neighborhood would likely face full development of our current 200 acres. Without Woodhome, this important property and its long history may be sold and become a nuisance to all of the existing neighbors and a battleground over future development. We trust that our neighbors in the community see the long-term financial health of our club as important to the area, and we count on their support and yours. Please support our request and allow us to continue serving our neighbors and the community well into the future. Thank you for your kind attention to this matter today. If you have no questions for me, I yield the balance of my time.
Thank you for your testimony, Mr. Jacobs. Next speaker, please.
Our next speaker is Lauren Maynard. Ms. Maynard?
Hi there.
Yes, you may begin your testimony.
Okay. My name is Lauren Maynard, and I live at 24 Woodley Avenue. I am in favor of zoning issue 2-012 to change my neighborhood from DR 3.5 to DR2. I believe this neighborhood was never appropriately zoned as DR 3.5. Patricia Gordon and Owen Murphy already hit on what I was going to say, but what I would like to add is while we have attempted to reason with certain developers that continue to come in and buy up parcels, and they have absolutely no regard for what the neighborhood has to say. We're not against developing on these parcels that are open, but we want it developed appropriately with our neighborhood. I don't think it's fair that myself or my neighbors have to continually pay out thousands of dollars to try to fight a developer just because he wants to make as much money as he can. So we're trying to preserve our neighborhood. It's an old neighborhood. It's over 100 years old. So please consider helping us out and changing the zoning from DR 3.5 to DR2. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony, Ms. Maynor. Next speaker, please.
Our next speaker is Neville Jacobs. Mr.
Hello,
Jacobs?
can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, my name is Neville Jacobs, and I live at 10 Calypso Court, zip code 21209 in the community of Greengate. I am co-chair of the Land Use Committee of the Pikesville Green Spring Community Coalition, generally known as PGCC. We have previously sent in a letter outlining the PGCC position on a few of the issues we are addressing today, but I would specifically like to mention 6 issues. Issue 006, in other words 2-006, which is Suburban Club, which we oppose this proposal because of the extreme density in an area where this is inappropriate, and because the 50-foot strip of land connecting it to Reisterstown Road would set a very bad precedent. We would be willing to support a compromise of allowing DR16 in the location identified for RAE-1, with the rest of the property remaining DR2. We also oppose issue 2-011, Royal Farms, because of safety concerns for pedestrian and vehicular traffic. On the other hand, we support issue 2-028, which is known as the Shapiro property, which we strongly support this proposal, as we have in the past. On issues 033, 034, and 035, the proposal is neighborhood commons overlays, which we support. These areas are all near or adjacent to Greengate community, which is where I live. In fact, a piece of my property would be directly affected by issue 2-035. Greengate itself has been seriously concerned that the small pieces of open space in our community might be developed. So 6 years ago, we donated these properties to Neighbor Space of Baltimore County, just to keep them as open space. Precisely what these issues are intended to do in these adjoining areas. This is an even better solution, and we strongly support these proposals. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you for your testimony this evening. Next speaker, please.
Our next speaker is Erwin Glick. Mr. Glick? Mr. Glick? Mr. Glick, are you there?
Have we lost Mr. Glick?
Yeah, I unmuted his microphone, but I don't know if he's having some issues. In the meantime, I will go to the next speaker, who is Ken Fuller. Mr. Fuller?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. You may begin your testimony.
Great. Thank you. I was worried we were going to go 2 in a row. Chairman Bevins, Councilman Patuka, members of the council, my name is Ken Fuller. I am on the board of directors for Suburban Country Club, and I'm here to speak in favor of issue 2-006, which seeks to rezone a portion of the Suburban Club so that the club can develop a piece of its property, which would develop an upscale multifamily project. First of all, this is not setting a precedent. Approximately 15 years ago, we sold a portion of our property, the only time in 120 years of our existence that we have done this, so that we eventually a developer developed Suburban Green, which is on the same side of Slade Avenue that this property would be developed, and has been very successful across from the other apartment complexes next to 1 Slade, 7 Slade, 11 Slade, and a beautiful property. And we're hoping that a developer that we would work with would develop a property right on the corner where we want to sell this property that would be equal to that, so that more folks can move into the area for the purpose of helping the club, which is the reason we're doing this. Recently, our members stepped up and helped us to buy out our current mortgage with one of the major banks in the state, so that we could better be in a financial position to continue being a successful member in the community. And by doing this, we are able to provide more services for our members, and we need these funds in the future to be able to pay the members back. And that's why we're selling the property. Plus, being 120 years old, you can imagine that the club is in need for these funds to be used for doing renovations and other work. And so that's why in our business plan that we have developed, this was one of the pieces we put together to sell this property. We have no plans in the future in any business plan that we've developed to sell any other portions of the property. This was one piece that we have developed. So we're hoping that the council will find this to be a reasonable thing to do in favor of 2-006. We thank you for your time, and have a nice evening.
Thank you for your testimony this evening, Mr. Fuller.
Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Madam Chair, I'm going to go back to Mr. Glick. It looks like he may have a microphone now.
Very good.
Mr. Glick? Nope, he's still having issues.
Okay.
Mr. Glick? One more time. Mr. Glick, are you there? Mr. Glick? No, Madam Chair, he must still be having problems. I'm going to go to the next speaker.
Okey-doke.
And that's Michael Greenspun. Mr. Greenspun?
Yes, hello.
You may begin your testimony.
Thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you for your time. I am Michael Greenspun, and I represent Woodley Property Partners, which owns 2 properties covered by downzoning request 2-012. They are 18 and 22 Woodley Avenue. I'm here to speak against the proposed zoning change from DR 3.5 to DR 2. To start, I would like to point out that the Baltimore County Department of Planning and the Baltimore County Planning Board both do not support the requested zoning change and recommend keeping the properties at DR 3.5. These properties are part of a proposed 4-acre, 13-lot development, Woodley Park, which is currently going through the development approval process. It was recommended for approval by every reviewing agency and department of Baltimore County, yet the administrative law judge at the hearing officer's hearing denied our development plan. It would appear that, as a brand-new ALJ, he let community opposition dictate his ruling and thus mistakenly ignored years of precedents and reinterpreted codes and laws to suit his purpose of denying our plan. Therefore, we have filed an appeal to this decision, which was heard on March 10, 2020 by the Board of Appeals of Baltimore County. Summary memoranda were filed in the case by counsel by May 29th. The Board of Appeals will publicly deliberate on the case on July 9th, 2020, and render a decision within a reasonable time frame thereafter. We feel this appeal is crucial not just for the sake of our project, but also for the very future of development plans in the county. If this ALJ ruling is allowed to stand, it would portend a dim future of stagnation and diminished economic development. Furthermore, the People's Council for Baltimore County decided to join and or intervene in this appeal as a result of what it deemed significant zoning and master plan conflict issues in order to defend the ALJ's decision. I do not believe that would be appropriate or fair to use the CZMP process to downzone these properties while the development plan is still proceeding through the approval process. The People's Council and I both feel there are very important issues raised by this ALJ decision that need to be addressed and resolved. If the properties were downzoned, it would render the current development plan moot and end the project's journey through the court system, thus denying all of us a judicial resolution. Lastly, the over $100,000 I've spent to date on engineering, processing, and legal fees for this project would become a complete waste, not because of judicial proceedings, but due to a legislative decree. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your testimony. Next speaker, please.
Our next speaker is Jordan Greenspun. Mr. Greenspun?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. You may begin your testimony.
Good afternoon, and thank you for your time. I'm Jordan Greenspun, and I represent Glidden Watts Utilities Company, which owns the tax certificate to a property covered by the downzoning requests 2-012 and 2-031 at 33 Stockstill Avenue. Currently, this property is split zoned, with the top roughly 40% being DR 3.5 and the bottom 60% being DR 2. I am here to speak against the proposed zoning change from the split DR 3.5 and DR 2 to all DR 2. I would like to point out that the Baltimore County Planning Board recommended to keep the top part of the property as DR 3.5 and is opposed to requesting zoning change for this property. The County Council put forward issue 2-031 largely, I believe, as a result of this particular parcel, specifically justified by stating narrow feeder streets make this property and area more fitting for lower density zoning. If the property were to have ingress and egress only to the adjoining Stockstill Avenue, I can understand the council's concerns to a degree. As a map of the area from Baltimore County, my neighborhood shows, this 6-acre property has 2 adjoining drainage and utility easements with available storm drain and sewer connections for this property. It was obviously intended for this property to be developed one day. Furthermore, there is a vacant adjacent parcel S, which can provide ingress and egress for the property via Diploma Drive, which has an ample 35-foot wide paved section. This is much, much wider than the Stockstill Avenue and well suited to handle traffic to and from the property. This parcel S is still owned by the original builder in the adjacent Franklin Station subdivision, and they have agreed to sell my company this parcel. We are negotiating the details as we speak. Furthermore, the Franklin Station subdivision is mostly zoned DR 3.5, and even the smaller DR 2 section is physically laid out exactly as the DR 3.5 sections. Therefore, with access to Diploma Drive, not only should this property not be downsized to DR 2 throughout, but I would like to request that it be changed to DR 3.5 throughout. This keeps it very compatible with the neighboring Franklin Station community, avoids the narrower Stockstill Avenue, and makes very efficient use of an infill parcel planned for development with access available to gravity sewer, water, stormwater outfall, and the nearby Main Street area of Reisterstown. I've submitted maps and plats to show all of this. Lastly, given that COVID-19 is causing people to leave crowded and congested cities for the safer and more open suburbs, it seems only fair to make infill properties such as this available for those people at more appropriate DR 3.5 zoning. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony, Mr. Greenspun. Next speaker, please.
Madam Chair, I think Mr. Glick is now on under a different device, so let's try him one more time. Mr. Glick? Looks like he's on by
I was hoping 3 times would be a charm.
I know. Mr. Glick?
Yes, this is Mr. Glick.
Ah, you're there. You may begin your testimony.
Oh, I'm there. Okay, thank you, Madam Chairwoman and Councilman Patoka and members. I apologize. I did have some technical difficulties.
No problem.
My name is Erwin Glick. I've been a member of Suburban Club for over 44 years, and I live in the Summit Park development. I'm speaking today representing the senior members at Suburban. My wife is a successful residential real estate agent in the area. She has been approached by many people in the community looking to move. They want a new upscale condos in the Pikesville area. And this parcel of land would be perfect. This project could be a solution to the suburban financial issue and a solution to our senior upscale housing. I would appreciate and the approval of the council supporting issue 2-006. And thank you for your patience.
Thank you for your testimony, Mr. Glick.
Thank you for your patience getting me
You're
on.
welcome. You're welcome. Next.
Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Our next speaker is Susan Patz.
Hello.
Ms. Patz?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. You may begin your testimony.
Thank you. Hello, councilmen and councilwomen. You know my name is Susan Patz, and I have lived with my family adjacent to the Suburban Club for over 90 years. The Patz family proposed downzoning the entire 144-acre Suburban Club property to establish a way to slow down the piecemeal sale of its properties so that the county may look at a proposal to create a Baltimore County regional park in this location on one of the last large green spaces within the Erdel. This park would complement and enhance the Pikesville revitalization plan and be an anchor for Pikesville, which it is now, but it is not public, and connects Pikesville's regional, cultural, environmental, commercial, and healthy lifestyle resources in one visionary design for the property. Prior to March 2020, these were 5 reasons we felt were sufficient to request this change. Now, as we face the challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic and begin to address serious social change, there are 2 additional reasons, so that makes 7. The interwoven and multiple positive benefits of maintaining the property in its entirety for the county and its citizens are complex. So I'll try to do this briefly. The recreation vision is most obvious. Golf, swimming, tennis is in place. The clubhouse, if the county took over this property when it is sold, would produce significant revenue to offset any maintenance costs. The infrastructure is in place. There's no capital cost. And if the golf course is altered slightly, it would add accessible walk and bike paths, playgrounds, picnic areas, outdoor education trails, event space, and desperately needed recreational fields. The real estate values of the mid-century homes next door and surrounding the country club would also be maintained, boosting the economic vitality and preserving these neighborhoods and the tax base for the county. Perhaps most controversial, but I want to address what proponents of the development of Suburban Club have stated here. I want to state what the reality is. The reality is most country clubs are no longer sustainable businesses, and Suburban is no exception. They stated they sold land before, and they did, to offset debt in 2000. Now it has partitioned off 18 acres to sell triple the previous acreage. This is the beginning of a pattern of piecemeal sell-off that squanders the ability of the county to best utilize this tract of land to benefit county residents and catapult the revitalization of Pikesville. Public green spaces, spending time in nature, lifestyle offerings allow the opportunity for the community to heal, and parks are being used by citizens at unprecedented levels during COVID and will continue after. Suburban as a park could also be a venue that addresses social justice issues. We have an exceedingly diverse community, completely different from 100 years ago when the Suburban was founded. And this is an opportunity to bring a diverse community together, an opportunity to rename the other as our neighbor, building friendships among us all in a regional park. The fact that the development that happened on Slade Avenue, most recently it was advertised as executive townhomes, condominiums, or townhouses, I'm sorry, and it didn't sell. They began at $700,000 per unit, and they sold off most of them at $300,000. This also, the new residents of this community on Slade Avenue at 6 and 8 are not residents of the Suburban Club, and I don't see that the additional residences build vitality in the Pikesville corridor on Ricerstown Road next to it. We're still watching that decay.
Ms. Pats,
Yes.
to conclude your testimony, you're way over your 3 minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you for allowing me the time. I really wish the county would make a visionary move here and by their zoning ability.
Thank you so much for your testimony today. Next speaker, please.
Madam Chair, I'm going to go back. I think I located Reverend Julia Fritz.
Sure.
Bear with me one moment.
Okay.
Reverend Fritz? Reverend Fritz, are you there? Sorry, Madam Chair, I thought I located her, but apparently there's no one on there. Our next speaker will be Reverend Christopher Lynn Payne. Reverend, are you there?
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. You may begin your testimony.
First, I just want to say thank you for not giving up on Reverend Julia Fritz and Howard Needle and a couple of others. I know technology is tough and doing all this online is difficult. So, as you said, my name is Christopher Lynn Payne. I am speaking in favor of CZMP 02003, the workforce housing development on the property that's owned by St. Mark's on the Hill in Pikesville. I am a priest in the Timonium area at St. Thomas Epiphany Episcopal Parish, and I'm a resident at Catonsville. I've lived in Baltimore County for most of my life. I love this place. I love doing ministry here, and there are all sorts of challenges that we face all the time, but especially in this time of pandemic. I'm grateful to be a part of working with people of St. Mark's and with the Episcopal Housing Corporation and CHI on this project. As a person of faith and as a leader in the Baltimore County community, I feel strongly that the need for affordable workforce housing is critical to the overall health and well-being of our citizens. For me, it's a matter of faith in terms of loving our neighbor as ourselves. That means making sure that people have a place to live. And where we live in Catonsville, we have similar workforce housing that's close by and also relatively close to the congregation where I serve. So having that much greater diversity in housing and people, cultures, races, socioeconomic status has just really enriched my life and the communities and neighborhoods that I'm a part of. The last thing that I wanted to say is that I am serving a church currently that has recently merged with another between Timonium and Towson, and many congregations are facing challenging times as we figure out how to do mission and how to and live into the command to love our neighbor as ourselves. I'm so grateful for St. Mark's creativity. They could have gone the track of commercial development, but they really want to work with the community and help, and help be a part of some creative solutions. So I admire their courage and their faith in this, and I hope that the county council will hear this and see this as a project worthy of support. Thank you for your time and for all the good work you all do.
Thank you, Reverend. Thank you for testifying this evening. Next speaker, please.
Madam Chair, I'm going to try for one more person that we had to pass over.
Okay, sure.
What's his problem?
Someone's not muted on his list. I can hear them speaking. but it looks like everyone is muted. I'm sorry, Madam Chair. So I'm going to try Howard Needle.
Oh, all the way back up to Howard. Okay.
Mr. Needle? No. I thought I'd give it one more try.
Okay.
Our next speaker is Grant Chisholm. I'm trying to locate. Gee, he is not on our list. And the next speaker is Adam Rosenblatt.
Okay.
Mr. Rosenblatt.
Good afternoon, Madam Chairwoman, Councilman Patoka, members of the council. I signed up to speak about Suburban Club, but you've already heard an awful lot from both sides on Suburban Club. So I will just say that we have drafted and are continuing to work on a covenant agreement for this issue, the goal of which is to bring as many parties together as possible so we can find a mutually agreeable solution for the club and the community. And while this is the last opportunity to publicly speak on these issues, we know the vote is not until late August. So we have a couple more months to work on this, and we'll continue to do so. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you for your testimony, Mr. Rosenblatt. Next speaker, please.
Madam Chair, our next speaker is Chris Mudd. Mr. Mudd?
Hello.
Yes, you may begin your testimony.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Madam Chairwoman, Mr. Patoka, and members of the council. Chris Mudd. I'm here speaking on in support of issue 2-018. Although I have nothing new to say beyond what those in support have already said, so I will yield my time. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mudd. Next speaker, please. And I believe this is our last speaker, Robert Smith.
Actually, Madam Chair, we had a couple of people come on at the last minute. So we have 3 speakers actually this evening.
Okay.
The speaker is Robert Smith. And Mr. Smith is not on our list either. So I will go on to the next speaker, and that was Jody McFadden. And Ms. McFadden is on. Ms. McFadden?
Good evening to members of the panel.
Mr. McFadden, I'm sorry, your wife signed you up. My apologies.
That's okay. Thank you very much. Good evening to everyone. I'm speaking on behalf of myself and my wife, and we support zoning request 2-012, addressing downsizing from DR 3.5 to DR 2. We believe our neighborhood does not support additional development. We feel as though that additional development would be overdevelopment. Narrow roads make up our community, and we feel additional development would make the community less safe. Overdevelopment would take away from the overall quality of life of our community. Regarding the testimony suggesting that our community has a relief valve alternative for congested communities dealing with COVID-19, our community will not be more open if overdeveloped. It will become less safe and more susceptible to the issue pertaining to COVID-19. Again, just to conclude, we support our neighbors, to include Ms. Patricia Gordon, in supporting zoning request 2-012. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your testimony this evening, Mr. McFadden. Next speaker, please.
Madam Chair, our last speaker this evening is Afshin Attar.
Okay.
Mr. Attar?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. You may begin your testimony.
Hi, thank you so much. Good evening, Madam Chairwoman and the councilman. I appreciate your time and everything you do for us in Baltimore County to make Baltimore County a better place. It's great. You're making it even better. I like to talk about issue 2-013, which is a Grove Lane property. It's a vacant property right now, which is a floodplain, as well as is the last mill in Owings Mills, is a historic site. It has a BLAS zoning, and I will change that to BL, and I am for this issue of 2-013. And I just also want to point out as well that the staff vote for this change, and this request is consistent with the Baltimore County 2020 master plan as well. I also want to point out that I am opposing issue 2-018, representing myself and few business owners in the neighborhood. The corner with Woodhome Country Club. 4 years ago, Woodhome Country Club came along with a big change, and we about the financials. We want to make sure that they succeed. However, 4 years later, they're coming back with another piece of land. They want to change the zoning on that. I think there is no comprehensive how to survive the country club. Also, as it was mentioned before, I am a business owner in that neighborhood. Woodhome Avenue, as well as Hooks Lane, and that part of Reisterstown Road is a major traffic issue. There is a double. And that's a major concern. And to have a gas station there, organic purpose, and a restaurant and business convenience store that would bring a lot of traffic. It's just gonna make that intersection a much harder place, traffic. Also, there are already 5 gas stations in 0.3 stretch mile on Reisterstown Road, and the new Royal Farm is being built as well. There is no real need for a gas station on that side, on convenience store. But it's just going to make the traffic much worse. And I would appreciate if the council would vote against this change, unless there is a major comprehensive package that would the neighborhood as well as the businesses, the community at large would agree to for the change that they're requesting. I appreciate your time, and thank you so much, and stay safe.
Thank you. Mr. Tar?
Yes.
Some of your testimony was jumbled, but we did get that you are opposed to 2-013, and I'm sure that Councilman Patoka.
I am for 2-013, and I am against 2-018.
Okay, thank you so much.
Sure, 2-013 is also consistent with the Baltimore County 2020 master plan.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Sure.
Ms. Belcastro, was that our last speaker?
I sent you a message, Madam Chair.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, let him on. Last one.
Our last speaker is Mark Comins. And let me find him. Mr. Comins?
Hi, can you hear me?
Just to let you know, I just went back while we're on the line here. We never received a registration email from you.
Okay, because I received confirmation a little bit after noon today from a Chris Hewitt. Your registration was approved. It was at 12:02 p.m.
Okay, because I just went back and looked at my inbox and I didn't see anything. My apologies. I don't know how we missed you. You may begin your testimony.
That's okay. Thank you for having me. Good afternoon, Councilman Patoka and all the members of the County Council.
Good afternoon.
I am calling in regarding supporting issue 2-018. And again, my name is Mark Comins, and I've been a resident of the Pikesville area for 61 years. And I've also been a member of the Woodhome Country Club for over 30 years. Woodhome Country Club has been a key part of the Pikesville community for close to 100 years. In that time period, we have never sold a piece of land. Now we are monetizing 2 pieces of land to help the club survive. One piece is being sold for new townhouse lots, a product that does not exist anywhere near this part of the district. The property being discussed this afternoon is going to be leased to a national tenant that does not currently exist in Pikesville. This tenant will not be moving here from another part of the district, causing another vacancy. This project is real economic growth for the second district with no downside. Thank you again for your time and consideration and adding me at the end, and have a great night.
Thank you for your testimony, Mr. Comins. And now there are no more speakers, correct?
That is correct, Madam Chair.
Mr. Councilman Matoka, would you like to take 30 seconds to just thank your folks for calling in?
Sure. Thank you, Madam Chair. And it sounded like we had a horse galloping through one of the speakers. But listen, I want to thank everyone for speaking tonight. I want to thank my colleagues for listening to the issues that are important to the second district. I know that we'll all make good decisions and apply strong land use practices towards these requests. So again, just thanks everyone.
Thank you, Councilman Matoka. Thank you for everyone who joined us this afternoon or who was listening in. And Mr. Secretary, Mr. Boswick, when is the next time we'll be meeting?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Your next CZMP hearing is this Thursday, June 18th, 4 o'clock. This will be for the 3rd Councilmanic District, Councilman Cash.
Okay, we look forward to it, and I'll see you all then.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Chris
Yes,
Belcastro.
Councilman.
Yeah,